I really hope you have eaten because our next speaker is from Virtual Tech. They have their own booth. Their own booth is right next to the Highly booth. All right. What do? Seems very interesting. I've seen like a metaverse thingy. All right. So our next speaker is gonna be their CEO and co-founder, Mr. Jason Low.
All right. Thank you so much to the MC for the day. A very good afternoon already, right? I hope everyone's having lunch. So I am Jason. Glad to see everyone here on a Saturday day, trying to figure out their career paths and get to see a lot of other companies here trying to like also hire relevant people. Yes, come on in. I'm going to talk about the Metaverse. So if you guys want to know more about what is this Metaverse and what this whole thing is about, please come, stand in. Right, come on in. Hey, thank you so much for joining my session for today. Okay, so I am Jason Low, the founder and CEO of Virtual Tech Frontier, and today I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic, hopefully, which is the careers in the Metaverse itself. So what can you do with the Metaverse? What is the whole thing about in the Metaverse? Can you actually work in the Metaverse, right? So these are the things that I would like to talk about today, and hopefully some the audiences here can learn a thing or two about what this whole thing is about, right? So yeah, this is my virtual avatar. So a metaverse, on a general speaking, is virtual worlds, 3D worlds, virtual worlds. You can come test out all these virtual worlds in our booth beside the Highly counter. We already have a Highly Metaverse career fair going on also. So we are their partners in Highly in enabling the metaverse for people to attend the event and exhibitions and things like that. So we are a virtual development company focusing on developing next generation engagements within the virtual space. And for the past 2 to 3 years, so my company was founded in January 2021. And from January 2021 until now, we have like virtualized a lot of huge companies, do a lot of virtual worlds for big brands. Even today, the Highly one is ongoing on the other side of the hall. And we have realized that the virtual worlds have been giving a lot of these kind of brands really great engagement space and ways to interact with their audiences per se. So I'm just going to go through some of the Metaverse projects that we have done so it gives a better understanding on why do companies even need a virtual world, for example, right? So this is ByteDance. So if you guys are familiar with ByteDance, they are the owner of TikTok. So they do TikTok, they do the Chinese version called Douyin and things like that. And this is one of the virtual worlds that we actually did with them. So why would someone like ByteDance would require something like this is when they were running their cultural internal company fair and things like that. ByteDance is a company with over 10,000 employees across Asia. And if they ever want to do an activity with so many people, there are just very limited ways on how someone can actually go in and interact with all 10,000 people at one go. If they want to do even a physical conference, a physical event, it is also not possible for huge companies like these. So at that time, they decided the theme of the year is Vietnam. So they approached us and they were like, oh, can we do like a Vietnamese virtual space that will enable employees all over Asia to come in and interact with different things, different engagements and things like that. So this is one of the use cases. So you can see this is the very famous Vietnamese lakes. We actually put all kinds of content inside to showcase Vietnamese fashion, Vietnamese content, Vietnamese food. I think we have a booth over there that is actually selling Vietnamese coffee also. If you guys haven't tried egg coffee before, I would love to go and try it again. I was just in Vietnam last month also, so still very close at heart. So this is one of our clients, TikTok themselves. Next was Omega. Omega is a luxury watch company. If you guys are familiar with watches, you have Omega. They recently launched a watch with Swatch, but this is not that watch. This is the Speedmaster. Speedmaster is a 40,000, 50,000 ringgit watch. And at the time when they approached us, it was kind of during the pandemic, and they needed a way to actually launch their product. And at that time, the managing director of Omega Malaysia was just like talking to me. He said, oh, the Speedmaster is affiliated to the moon because astronauts wore it to the moon. That's why the watch is so expensive today. Can we do the launch on the moon? Like that was his direction to me. And he don't want to do some hotel conference. He was like, let's do it virtually. So we're like, oh, okay lah. And this event was curated towards their top 500 richest people in the country. So we built this virtual reality headset. We built a virtual world on the moon. I think somewhere on the moon, I planted a Malaysian flag just for fun, just to show, oh, We're probably there, right? And then we did this whole rendering. So on the day of the launch itself, the managing director of Omega from Switzerland actually tuned in, gave a live streaming from Switzerland itself. And then a lot of the Malaysian wealthy people wore the virtual reality headset and actually attended the launch on the moon, right, theoretically speaking. Lastly, one of our more recent projects is we did this with Nestle. So Nestle is an FMCG company. I think a lot of you all know it. They have a lot of children, teenager-based products that we eat when we're young, and then we eat until when we're old. Until today, we still drink Milo and things like that, right? But a lot of their marketing campaigns still come a lot towards targeting the next generation of children and things like that, lah. And when they approached us to this, what was very interesting towards a metaverse targeting towards younger demographics, it's mostly because they are not on Facebook anymore, let's put it that way. A lot of big companies are still spending a lot of advertising and money on traditional social media. They call it traditional social media. Like Facebook's like, oh, that's so old these days. Like, are you guys doing TikTok marketing, things like that, right? But a lot of brands still doing that, right? They're spending millions on this. And when they want to target children, they realize all the children are even not there anymore. I was giving a career talk presentation in one of the colleges recently. And the students there are like 21, 22 years old and not even that young. I still would assume they're on Facebook. They are not. Like the whole class of 300 people I was talking about, like, oh, follow my VTF page on Facebook, guys. 0 people raised up their hand. They were like, sir, like, outdated, man. We're not on Facebook anymore. I'm like, oh, what's going on, right? That was very interesting for me to see. And when you have a lot of brands and companies out there that still have to target younger generation audiences, you can't just do Facebook marketing anymore. They're not even there to see your ads. So your ads on your end all go to the old people only, probably. I don't know. They're already your customers. They need new ways to generate strategies to get new customers on board, right? Hence, and you don't expect a kid to go Google search Milo, for example. Like the Google search, the SEO, whatever, wow, we do. Also, you will know that there's this whole group of target audiences with companies that don't respond to that also one. So we need to always be very innovative in how we're gonna do our engagements with our audiences, and this is one of the core projects with Nestle. This is like a virtual to metaverse project. It's not O to O or whatever, O to O or online, offline. It's like virtual to physical, physical to virtual kind of. So it was on retail. They're asking kids to join competitions. And if you guys are even familiar with like marketing campaigns, you like to do microsite or go list landing page, submit a receipt. Thank you. Wait, cabutan betua, something like that, right? And in terms of marketing, when you really look at the whole user journey of a microsite competition, actually fun, man, right? You start to question, what's the point of this? And then brands will spend like 50,000 on the landing page, then do all the digital marketing to target to the landing page to go buy, put receipt, finish, 2-minute execution, right? In this particular project that we did, people that actually went into the metaverse to interact spent 30 minutes in it. And then Nestle was like, wow, how do you even get people to spend 30 minutes in the space? I mean, that's where virtual, the 3D world come. And this is not virtual reality, by the way, sorry. A lot of people think metaverse is VR, but VR is just a way to experience the metaverse. For something like this, we build it on a web browser. So if you just have a URL, you can go to the web browser and you can immediately engage with whatever you do. So we plan storylines, we plan mini games, we plan content, the end-to-end experience for the target audience that comes into here, 30 over minutes, which to big companies, they look at this as gold. Like, oh, how do you do it? No one's even commenting on my Facebook page anymore. Websites are having all-time huge dropouts. Why not the metaverse, right? So all these are very interesting things on why brands would actually look at virtual solutions and metaverses like this to solve their marketing and engagement problems. All right. Oh. Okay, never mind. I'll just, lagging. I'll just jump to, okay. So one of the initiatives that Virtual Tech Frontier is doing recently is I've shown you all these very big projects, right? And all these big projects, long story short, is really expensive. Like, we realize only big corporate companies with huge budget can spend. Like the Nestle project, easily few 100,000. And it's not something that any businesses, they go out, they can immediately, oh, I got few 100,000 to build a virtual world. Next thing you know, they're going to ask, why do I need to spend few 100,000 on a virtual world and things like that. And for us at the company, if the metaverse is a technology that can only be afforded by really high-paying customers, we know the industry will not last. The industry will only grow forward when we have a lot of people everywhere with very easy way to access to the metaverse. Companies can come on board. Most of the time, after my talk sessions like this end, right, SME owners will come to me and tell me how my business can have a metaverse. I cannot quote that guy 200,000 ringgit on. He's like, oh, then how am I going to do it? It doesn't make sense, right? So hence why down the road at Virtual Tech Frontier, we have been trying to build Metaworld.io. So what is Metaworld? All right. So Metaworld is SaaS means software as a service platform that solves the gaps for businesses to actually get onto the metaverse itself. So we call this an integrated virtual world platform that number one, it is browser-based, no code and user-friendly. We don't want the metaverse to be so complicated and a lot of technical process. We want even a kid knows how to use the platform to build a metaverse. If you guys are familiar with the game The Sims, we're trying to do The Sims Online Enterprise version. Something like that, right, for easy recognition. So because if it's browser-based, no code and user-friendly, the cost of actually obtaining a metaverse is way low. Like we're charging like 2,000 ringgit only. If you use the platform, you suddenly can own and build your own metaverse already. And you do not need to find a game studio to custom build everything for you from scratch. So the Hyattly metaverse that is running for the next month or so is hosted on Metaverse platform itself. You can go to the platform and check out like what you can do with the platform. And lastly, interoperable social experience means we are moving towards a future of people owning digital assets. I'm not going to dive into NFTs and things like that, but basically a lot of people are very serious into doing NFT-related technology, NFT business and strategies, and the metaverse will play a huge part in it. We are working with the government to actually enable quite a number of these going on already, so hopefully we'll see more initiatives down the road. So this is just like a brief overview of how it works. So it's a web-based platform where you go in, you create an account, you select a blueprint. A blueprint is like a templated metaverse, where metaverse is hard when you need to build it from scratch, but if we already created and curated a lot of templates, like when you build website, Wix.com, Canva, you know, you go, why suddenly you can be a graphic designer? Because all these templates are there, you just change a bit content here and there. Oh, my graphic design looks like a graphic designer did it. And then in the future got AI somewhere, so that's another level of story that we're going to talk about. But in our current case, this is how we're planning to allow the metaverses to be easy for people. Even The Sims was the same one. You don't know how to build a house from scratch. You start with a template house, then you, let me change the furniture, change small things inside there. So we're really taking the cues of this kind of gamification strategies and put it into our platform over here, right? So you choose a template. Next thing you know, you're in a virtual world. You can upload 3D object files. A lot of businesses always need to render 3D files for their products, for their showcases. And when they got a 3D file already, take picture, put on website. Like it's hilarious one. Businesses could never really, unless they're going to take it for production, if they're talking about marketing, in the end, that 3D object that they render or whatever will be picture, put on social media, finish, put on website, and then like what's the point of it, right? So now people can actually take 3D file objects and put it into the metaverse, and then people can actually interact and do different things for the virtual space itself. So you have that, and then lastly, you can then launch your metaverse via the web browser itself. So this is what we call the 3-step, 10-minute build and own your metaverse process. Of course, the Hyattly one didn't take us 10 minutes only. Lots of work came into it to really ensure that the engagement is like being maximized out. And the more we do this kind of projects and case studies, hopefully more and more people will then take this as a very good reference to build their own metaverse down the road also. All right, I'm going to jump right into like, usually what kind of talents are needed for a metaverse company, or what kind of skill sets that we are looking for to build a metaverse per se. So fundamentally, a game development team is a very high level way of talking about it, because in game development, there's actually branch out to all kinds of programmers. So of course, because it's still a digital tool, you still need a lot of programmers to come, but when you come in, you are coming in as a perspective, not like a web. Oh, I know, do website, React, UI, UX, things like that. But in this perspective is how do you code 3D? How do you code things in 3D and allow 3D objects to move? So it's a very interactive way. So I will call it as like a game development team. Definitely still in a UI UX team. UI means user interface, UX means user experience. The whole experience still have to look good and do well. Because if you do a very horrible looking virtual world, even though if it's 3D, you come in, it looks bad, you're going to quit anyway. Actually, that's not really true, because I've been seeing a lot of people doing terrible looking metaverses. Because our platform is launched, we let anyone go in and simply click around, right? And some people, they do it so bad, it was interesting. Like you go, you're like, oh, I didn't know you can design it this way. It suddenly looks like abstract art, It's not like, oh, bad graphic design, it's bad. This one, you look at the 3D model suddenly hanging on the wall there. Like people all put on the floor, nice like that. This fella will go put it on the wall, then they put on the ceiling, then the 3D model floating there. And then I log into the space, I was looking at it, I'm like, what's going on here? But it was so interesting, and I remember it until today, you know. Like the memory recall, because that thing looked so bad, was so strong. I remember till today, whose world was it? What was he trying to do with it until today, right? So that's really strong brand recall for something that didn't even look good for some reason. I don't know, is it because it's 3D? If 2D looks bad, you know it's bad. In 3D, suddenly it feels you're looking at abstract art or abstract design, you know, that kind of, I don't know how to put it that way. But fundamentally, corporate companies and corporate clients still got their corporate identity, their brand CI, you need to follow the rules. So UI, UX is still a very important key factor here. A 3D team, a team that can build 3D models. This is always the extra part for my tech startup that is more expensive than a normal startup company. Right? Investors always look at my company and say, oh, why is everything so expensive? I'm like, hey, I got my art team, I got my 3D team, I got all this line team that is very essential towards coming and build worlds, build the metaverse and things like that, right? So 3D rendering team is still very important. Art team to visualize the concept. A lot of people don't know this. I learned this a little bit the hard way also. Just because you hire someone that knows how to do 3D, doesn't mean the fella know what he need to do. Like, you know, you always come from, like, that's why a lot of companies got like creative director, concept art. They will say, oh, we do this, the proposal, like that, like that. Then we need the 3D team know, oh, you want this, so I'm going to do this, right? So it was a lot of breakdown of processes. So hence why the art team is still very important. If you're doing illustration, graphic design, proposal kind of things, you need to do everything up nicely. Then only potentially a 3D team might be able to like do whatever that is, right? And then lastly, the product team itself is a team that thinks of features. There'll be the business people, business analysts, go out to find, like dealing with Hiredly was entirely most of my product team that went and talked to you guys. Okay, what do the employers need? How are we going to do the booth? What features do you want? Do you want this mini game? There's still a lot of questions that comes into like building a virtual space, right? So this is where the product team will come to place. Network and security is always a huge issue that corporate companies would care about. They just want to know, is this whole platform secure? Will my data get taken out and things like that? So people in the networking background, DevOps, database management, a lot of very tech-driven infrastructure, talents are also needed. And lastly, we also do get Web3 developers on board, because when we talk about the metaverse and we move towards technology in the future, we start to talk about blockchain, decentralization, integration of cryptocurrency into the platform. We are seeing a future where the metaverse is a space where people are going to use crypto to buy digital assets. These kind are the huge new forward-moving economies that we are really looking to break through in virtual tech frontier itself. So if any of the viewers on the live stream or anyone here are in particular part of these are usually the talents. Of course, not yet count marketing team, operation team, management team. We still have a lot of other departments to make the company whole, right, at the end of the day. Yep, so these are just the general talents that we actually have in the company that we will look for. All right, because this is a career fair, typically I'll just give like a last slide to just sum up what we do and hopefully what kind of the people that we look to actually do to grow, right? I learned this not when I was like trying to find my career. Like in fact, I've never joined a company before. I'm one of those guys that after I graduated, start my company straight away. So I never really had a corporate experience, or there were a lot of like people who start in corporate, give me all the complaints, I'm not too sure and things like that. But as an entrepreneur myself, right, a lot of time if you read a lot of people, they say, oh, when you're not good in this, not good in that. But you need to first identify your strengths. I think that's very important, because I feel a lot of students out there, like when I interview people, I will know one. They're trying to force their way in a career that they themselves feel they're not good in the first place. There are very interesting ways to actually bring this kind of out. And then I will usually like ask people to, you just got to identify your strength first. Because identifying your strength is not common also, right? And you just need to figure out what you do during your university time that you like the most and what you're going to grow from there. And 10xing your strengths will usually be better than trying to fix your weaknesses. Because the time spent to fix what you're not good at, as opposed to you really dive in and focus on what you're really good at, the growth that you're going to see is going to be way different, right, down the road. So really identifying your strengths and putting 10x effort of them rather than fixing your weaknesses is something that I hold very truly to. Be open to new experiences. This is really hard, especially as a metaverse company like myself. We will approach, even if I reach out to game studios, hire game development graduates, right? They're going to come and they're going to look at what we're trying to do and they're going to question us on like, you guys are building virtual worlds for businesses. Like, do they even care? Like, why don't you all just do games? All right, or people that I'm trying to hire were going to tell me, this is cool, but when are you going to do a PlayStation 5 game? Like, we only want to do AAA game titles. Like why do you guys even want to bother to build virtual worlds for companies? And then they'll see this disconnect one, right? And then I'll be like, wait, you're already in the industry and you got my question, like, there's all these gaps in place, right? So not only those people, like a lot of people that we talk about when I talk to companies, don't even say graduates coming. Companies also straight away will question, challenge a lot of things. Why? It's like, I don't know why everyone forever got like 20, 30 whys, down the road. So all these are what we call, not too open to new experiences, but for graduates, when you come out, most of the time, the chances that you can really focus on what you're supposed to do is a bit rare. You will always see on social media people saying, my company asked me to do 2, 3, 4 different things. Then now my job scope also, then they quit. And things like that. So if you're in like a startup like us in the metaverse where everything is like challenging one, it'll be very hard to thrive. So you need to identify and really push your mindset to be more open to new experience, right? Grind and hustle hard as there is no overnight success is something that I'm experiencing it a lot these days. As a startup founder, you always read news on that. Like there was this recent social media app called Bondi. Don't know if you heard of it. Bondi went like quite viral. 1 million downloads in 1 month. Boom, the news come out. And then like companies like us who's like rather similar in a rather similar space will look at it and we go like, oh why, wow, overnight success. Like how they do it, what made them viral and things like that. But then when our marketing team really go in and track their marketing strategies, we found out they were running 300 over ads on Facebook in 8 countries, which we equate them to millions ringgit spent on marketing, right? And then so your perception of overnight success is 300 over advertisements being run with millions of ringgits being spent a month. And can you do that or not? Probably cannot. Next thing I know, Bondi now all the news come out, they're dying already. like so fast, right? Spend so much go. So now really growing your roots, being focusing on sustainable growth strategies, not only as a company, not only as a founder, but even your career progression. A lot of them work 1 year, say, I go nowhere in life. I don't know, we get a lot of that these days. Don't know, is it really social media affecting? Same with me, and as a business owner, I see, why people 1 month, 1 million downloads? But in reality, is that like the best replicable way for growth? Different story, right? So for the young people out there, to chiong is, how to say, there's this very cliche quote, but it's something about people like to overestimate what they can achieve in 10 years and underestimate what they can achieve short term and things like that, right? A lot of people don't buy that very well, but as along the way, as you grow towards your career, you will start to understand, these kind of proverbs are pretty true. This is my own belief, where your network is your net worth, not trying to ask everyone to go be extrovert, join all the events, because that's just not for everyone. But it along the way of my career, especially when I'm trying to grow the company, the people I know is very important. Like, and it's not made in a way that I consistently need to go out and shout, who am I, what am I, blah, 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 blah. A very good example happened just this morning, 7:30 a.m. itself. So we are doing our official Metaverse launch on the 14th of March. So 14th of March, we are doing an announcement that we are launching this Metaverse platform that everyone's going to go and everyone's going to be able to own their metaverses and things like that. And I was trying to figure out how do I invite some atas people to come my event. I don't even know all these atas people, but I was just trying, right? So I saw one friend on a social media posted top, I'm from Sabah, by the way. So they posted, top 20 Sabahan innovators. He shared that. It's a post by Richard Kerr. Richard Kerr is a famous storyteller in the digital and tech scene. And then when I look at it, I said, I'm Sabahan, why am I not on the list? I was like, cannot lah, like, why like that one? But what was funny about that post is that he added, thanks to Vivianti for recommending these names. Then I was like, who's this Vivianti? Why is she recommending Richard Kerr, the top 10 people in Sabah and things? So I went to find out Vivianti. And Vivianti apparently is the general manager for Scenic. Scenic is the you guys know MDAC? MDEC is like Malaysia Digital Economy, blah, blah, blah. Scenic is the Sabah version of it. So it's like a Sabah MDEC. They focus on Sabah innovators and technology of Sabahans trying to. I was like, oh, I didn't even know they exist. I'm Sabahan. I'm the Texan. I didn't even know that Sabah has this government association and things like that. So I reached out to Vivianti. She replied to me, and then she found, oh, why are Sabahans doing the metaverse? What's going on here? And then I told her about my launch, and then it led to the Timbalan Menteri, of MOSTI, Ministry of Science and Technology Innovation. So the main Menteri is YB Changi Kang lah, right? And then his Timbalan is Dato Atta J. Kurup, and Atta is from Sabah. So we literally have a Sabahan as the Timbalan Menteri of the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovasi in Malaysia, right? And Vivianti was like, just invite him. I'm like, how to invite Menteri? Sure or not? Like, want to invite, just invite only one man. I don't even know the process and procedure, right? My first time trying to do this. And she just, the email, go. Okay. So I was doing highly slides until midnight last night because I had no time to do it. I still remember she said, oh, where's your slides? I'm like, oh, I haven't do. So midnight last night, I was still doing the slides, and I decided to send an invitation to the Menteri to come to my event, and I expect nothing, like just nothing. He replied 7 a.m. this morning, oh, Jason, congrats. Sure, I'll come to your event and officiate your event for you. This whole thing happened in 2 days, man. Yesterday and today. Just because I asked this fella and I asked that fella and this fella linked to that fella, boom, potentially the Menteri will come. He even said, okay, my office will liaise with you. I'm like, oh, wow, legit minister coming to my event, like what's going on here? And then the office this morning, so he replied my email at 7:30, then the office 8 something WhatsApp me, on a Saturday morning, a government ministry, WhatsApp me directly and say, YB got meeting on the day, cannot come. I'm like, okay, sure, at least I tried. But they said, but YB is still very interested, so we see if we can shift that meeting or not. So I was like, okay, fine, 50-50. Maybe he might come, maybe he might not come. I do not know yet. But the point is that when I say network is your network, the people you know that can potentially bring you to the next level, introduce you, this is very important. Whenever I interview someone, I would love to see their background. Were they involved in events? Were they volunteering something before? Even part-time waitress, part-time 7-Eleven, part-time booth. A lot of people will say, why you want to put all those part-time in? I see that very important because I was a part-time promoter myself. I did a lot of random events and I resonate a lot with people that tries to go out and build connections and talk to other people myself, right? So those are very important to me because until today, when you do business, when you're a managerial role, whatever, you still need to know a lot of great people around you that can come and help you. And lastly, believe in yourself. As with hope, there's growth. When you're an entrepreneur, you are facing like 1,000 problems and challenges every day. Everyone's trying to attack you. If they're not attacking you, they're trying to kill you. If they're not trying to kill you, your clients are trying to kill you. Then your staff all are like unhappy. And then it's like internal got problem, external got problem, everywhere got problems. And then, but we still have to like go through things, right? A lot of the times when we hire newer people into the company, I don't know, they face one roadblock only, and they feel like, cannot already, I need to resign. Cannot, this thing manager didn't approve. I'm so upset. Took me 2 days. I didn't even sleep to do the proposal. Gonna reject where this company sucks. Or something like that in between, right? And then suddenly you feel there's no hope. And then when you think there's no hope, you spiral into negativity, then you get nowhere, right? So really believe in yourself. As with hope, there's growth. Because when you have hope, you'll be willing to try, proactive to do your things, then only potentially you never know one day where you're going to be, right? And where you're going to achieve. Right, so this is definitely my last slide already. So I hope that we can build the metaverse together. Anyone that wants to talk about the metaverse with me, be it just talk, have a coffee chat. My numbers is here. Feel free to reach out and contact me anytime. Or you can find us on social media. Or please visit our booth opposite there very soon, right? Okay, so thank you, everyone. I'll pass back to Master of Ceremony. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. If it's okay, can I have you back on the stage for a while?
Oh, can, sure.
All right. So thank you so much for the inspiration.
Hey, go take picture first. Hey, let's take picture first.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Thank you so much for the speech.
Hey, no problem, no problem.